Hi, my name is Claudia. This is for my BE 1500 class with Mr. Harriman at Wayne State University. The project that I have done is in regards to crime rates in Detroit for January of 2011. The first thing that you're going to see here is the main script. When you hit the run button up on the top, you're going to be directed to a menu. This menu is created using a while loop in which each case directs you to a specific function that you want to view the data for. One of the biggest pieces of information about our data that's important is that you're going to be seeing type of crimes, the neighborhoods which experience those crimes, time of day crimes were committed, and whether or not a gun was used. That's the data that we chose to extrapolate from the data given to us. And we also had to do a little bit of editing in Excel before we inputted the data. This was using a delimited as well as a find and replace. To find and replace the word gun with a delimiter, which we ended up using a squiggly line, and used it to find a squiggly line, replace it with gun, and create a new column doing so. And then we replace all the blanks with no gun so that we can import this and use it as almost a true-false when evaluating it within MATLAB. So once you hit run, you're going to be directed to this menu, and you can select which function you would like to view first. So the first one we're going to do is type of crimes committed. We're going to go to the function as well so that we can see it. Up at the top, that's going to be the renaming of variables, as well as the finding of the length of each one. And I'm using a string comparison and within the if-else statements to store the data into mat. So we're using the variable that we inputted, which we renamed as CL, and storing into mat. 15 through 20 is going to sort the amount of crimes per given type, the amount per given type within ascending order, so that you're going to see it like that. This is right here, all the way through 20. After that, there's going to be a table displayed to the user, showing them based on type how many there were done, and then this one's going to be displaying it in an ascended order. So starting with the smallest, going to the most, homicide, I think all the way to burglary or robbery. And then right here, we did a little bit of editing to make the view of our pie chart that's going to be displayed easier to look at, and we also used explode so that we could see the smallest piece of data is still represented in the pie chart, even though it was so small. So this is done here. We did a little bit of axis editing as well as view and setting so that we can see everything much easier. So when you go up and we're running this function, I'm going to expand the command window so you can see what's happening. It's going to ask which one we'd like to select. So I'm going to select aggravated assault. It's going to show me the pie chart, showing me how much it was for aggravated assault, as well as all of the others. There's the homicide that we had to use the explode command on. Exit out of that. If I scroll up a little, you're going to see there were 708 aggravated assault crimes. This is the TBO table in which it gave us everything just in a random order, starting with the one that we asked for. And then it's going to go down to ascending order. So we're going to see homicide was the least, and mostly there were burglaries. Now, once this is done running, the loop's going to continue, and it's going to bring back up the menu for you to select another piece of data, analyze. So we're going to go to neighborhoods that experienced the most crimes for that month. We're going to click this, go to the function for it. One thing I did forget to mention is that for type of crime, there was its own menu. That was what was allowing you to select the actual place. So type, assault, burglary, homicide, that was all created in the me menu, which was called out within this function. So here, just using a switch case, we create a menu for each one. You're seeing a different result. So back to this one, my apologies. The first thing that's going to happen is you're going to be displayed with the menu in which you're choosing a certain letter. How this function is running is it's putting everything in order, getting the data, and displaying the data to the actual creator of the function so that we can see it. We're silencing that so that the person, the user, isn't being showed all of this information. And then it's going to use an F for an F and a menu to let the user select what they want to select and then input their selection. So once they pick which letter, so I'm going to pick letter A. I'm going to enter what I chose using the correct format, which is making sure it's capital and typed within apostrophes. I'll click enter. I'm going to pick which one I meant, so whether it was Arden or Atkinson. And it's going to tell me there were 7 crimes reported. So another thing that this one can do, after using the switch case to give you the types of crimes reported for each place, which goes all the way down to here, you have the option to view the top 10 neighborhoods in which there were in which there are top 10 neighborhoods for crime. So if we go back and rerun this by selecting again neighborhoods experiencing the most crimes, we select other, we enter other the same way we entered capitals and apostrophes. It's going to ask us with another menu if we want to view the top 10 neighborhoods with crime. Yes. And it's going to use, we're going to see a scatter plot, which is showing us the types or the amount for each of the areas. So now we can exit out of here and go to the next piece that we want to analyze, which is time of day crimes were committed. I'm going to go over to this function and scroll up in the window for you. First thing that is done is the renaming of the inputs. We're using frequency to find the amount per actual time and storing that in the frequency. So freq 10, freq 11, going all the way down through military time. So it's 0 through 23. We're then putting it into a vector so that it can be used to create a graph. Using the correct labels as well as the grid, we're going to create a graph with a specific look. So it's going to have a red line with stars, and it's going to get curve fitted so we can see the line of best fit for this function without seeing the scattered data points that we have. I'm going to go ahead and click time of day crimes were committed. It's going to show me this is the graph that we just went through and talked about with the legend and the labels and everything we need to see. So we're seeing the curve fitting as well as the original pieces of data. We're going to exit out of here. And as you get on, it's going to ask the user to input a time in the correct format, which is military time. So if you want to input 1800, it's going to use this for loop with an if-else statement within it to, depending on what the user inputs, they are going to display the amount of crimes committed and whether or not it was the top 5 most popular time. So I'm going to enter 6 o'clock, and it's going to tell me in the command window that this was one of the top 5 most popular times of crime, and there were a total of 282 crimes reported at 6 o'clock or 1800 hours, which is military time. And the last piece of data that we can analyze after the menu is brought back to us is whether or not a gun was involved. I went ahead and clicked that. I'm going to minimize this session and go to the function really fast. Starting at the top, we have the renaming of variables, changing of data type. We go through here, making sure everything's the same size and everything was imported correctly. A for loop to find the total, displaying the total, finding the percent of gun crimes that were actually committed, and displaying them. Finding the information using for loop and if else to find the amount of gun crimes per hour. Putting everything into vectors and using the categorical function up at the top right here to create a bar graph that will display a specific time. That will give you the time, the amount of gun crimes for the given time. And then the user will input the time with the correct format, and it will be displayed the number of crimes at that time. So as you can see in the command window, it's telling me the total number of gun crimes is 458%, is 9.47. And then given this format, I want to enter 6 o'clock. It's going to tell me there were 34 gun crimes committed at 6 o'clock. And this was the graph that we were seeing earlier. So basically, if you want to go through and you want to go, wow, 6 o'clock had the most, I wonder how many, you go ahead and enter 6 o'clock. Same with 6 a.m., there was 0. So if you enter 6 a.m., you're going to be given the number 0. Go ahead and exit out of that. That is the end. So if you click exit, you'll be brought out of the while loop. And that is the end of the function. I think the thing that I learned the most using this was that there are a lot more things you can do with MATLAB than I thought you could. There are a lot more different types of functions that you can do, and there's different commands that I didn't know about that make it easier to evaluate this big data, as well as the specifics. So using semicolons and making sure you have the parenthesis or a bracket and having more specifics, because with smaller data points or with smaller things, it doesn't matter as much. I had a good time doing this project, and I hope you enjoyed the video.